Welcome to the high banks of Atlanta, where NASCAR Cup Series racing roars into the night. This 1.54-mile quad oval is a crucible of speed, courage, and chaos, where drivers push the limit and the action never stops. While the track layout has changed several times, Atlanta's current superspeedway style promises heart-stopping blocks, daring moves, and finishes that'll leave you speechless. Who will master the pack? Who will seize the lead when it counts? In this preview, we'll dive into this weekend's stories and the drivers that will shine under the Georgia moonlight. So reach up and pull those belts tight one more time. It's time to preview the NASCAR Cup Series at Atlanta, where the pack decides your fate. Welcome to our NASCAR race weekend preview, where we'll go over the track, key storylines, the playoff picture, and even some information about the lower divisions. We'll start off with some information on the track formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway. So the track opened on July 25th, 1960, so they've been operating for quite a while, usually holding 2 races every season. The track is located in Hampton, Georgia, about 45 minutes outside of the center of Atlanta, so really not a bad drive for people in the Atlanta metro. There have been 3 configurations for Atlanta Motor Speedway. First, they had a traditional oval from 1960 to 1996. Then we had the quad oval design that most people are familiar with from 1997 to 2021. And then in 2022, they reconfigured the track as a high-banked quad oval from 2022 to present. The track length is set at 1.54 miles, so most people will refer to it as a mile-and-a-half track. Banking is 28 degrees in the corners and 5 degrees in the straightaway. And this weekend's Cup Series race, is known as the Quaker State 400, presented by Walmart, so that'll be our key sponsor. Speaking of sponsors, the track has been rebranded to EchoPark Speedway, so you may still hear people refer to it as Atlanta Motor Speedway, but EchoPark Automotive has come in and secured the naming rights to the speedway. You will also hear people refer to it as EchoPark Speedway. It's similar to how Infineon was named Infineon for a while, that's Sonoma, and how California Speedway was known as Auto Club. So very similar naming deal. I know a lot of people don't like it. I'm one of those people that will probably continue to still call it Atlanta Motor Speedway, so follow with me throughout the video if I do call it Atlanta. The Cup race consists of 260 laps, broken up in 3 stages. Stage 1 will be 60 laps, while Stage 2 and 3 will be 100 laps each. So hopefully we see some nice strategy in those 2 and 100 lap stages. To go into some details about how our current drivers perform at Atlanta, we'll just go over a few notes that I have. Kyle Busch has finished in the top 10 in every race at Atlanta since joining RCR. That's looking pretty good for Kyle. He needs more than a good points day. We're going to look at the playoff bubble in a minute. He's, I think, at 20th in the points, so he really needs a win. Top 10 in every race, so he knows how to take care of it. I know a lot of it comes down to luck. I believe he's had 5 races with our RCR at Atlanta, so he's doing pretty well so far. Maybe, just maybe, this can be where they break through. And RCR historically performs well at plate and super speedway type tracks, so maybe he can put something together. The last restart is usually during the last 5 laps of the race, so almost a green white checkered. Be looking for a caution towards the very end of the race. That's usually when the field starts breaking down and taking these crazy runs and making crazy blocks. And many of the last several races here have ended under caution. I believe it's like 4 of the last 6 or 4 of the last 7 have ended under caution, so be looking for that as well. We do have several open teams entering this weekend's race. Last week we only had 1 open team with Brennan Poole and the New York Racing Team, but this week we have Corey LaJoie in the 01. We'll have David Starr in the 66, the 78 with BJ McLeod behind the wheel, and the 87 with Connor Zilic. So it's good to see some open teams competing, and hopefully we get a full field. I believe there will be 1 DNQ for this race if everybody shows up as intended. Somebody may end up getting sent home. We'll see who that is. We only have 9 races remaining in the regular season before the playoffs begin, so that bubble is tightening. And Atlanta being, somewhat of a lottery track now where luck can decide the outcome of the race, if we get another winner that's below the cut line, it could greatly shake up what we're about to look at here with the playoff bubble. So let's look at the playoff bubble we have here. So starting with Chase Elliott in the 12th position, he's 160 points to the good. In 13th, we have Tyler Reddick, 107 points to the good. In 14th, we have Chris Buescher, 38 points to the good. In 15th, we have Bubba Wallace, 29 points to the good. And in 16th, we have Alex Bowman, 20 points to the good. Now below the cut line, in 17th, we have Ryan Preece, 20 points under. In 18th, we have AJ Allmendinger, 59 points under. In 19th, we have Eric Jones, 62 points under. And in 20th, we have Kyle Busch, 63 points under. So like we said, Kyle Busch, he could try to point his way in, but really with how the cut line could move, he could jump from being 63 points under to being 83 points under if someone wins and jumps Alex Bowman. There's always a risk of that. Kyle Busch and these guys in this area and below, they need to be looking for a win. Let's look at our 2024 fall results. So hopefully this will give us some kind of a picture of how these guys might run this weekend. In first, we had Joey Logano. Second, Daniel Suarez. Third, Ryan Blaney. Fourth, Christopher Bell. Fifth, Alex Bowman. Sixth, Tyler Reddick. Seventh, Kyle Busch. Eighth, Chase Elliott. Ninth, William Byron. 10th, Austin Cindric. And then let's look at the Atlanta results from this spring. In first, we had Christopher Bell. Second, we had Carson Hocevar. Third, Kyle Larson. Fourth, Ryan Blaney. Fifth, Ricky Stenhouse. Sixth, Denny Hamlin. Seventh, Kyle Busch. Eighth, Ross Chastain. Ninth, Bubba Wallace. 10th, John Hunter Nemechek. And then to tie this together, let's look at their average finishes at Atlanta in the next-gen car. So we're going to go by ranking here and average finish. So in first, we have Ryan Blaney with an average finish of 6.7. In second, we have Chase Elliott with an average finish of 10.5. And tied for third, we have Daniel Suarez and AJ Allmendinger, both with an average finish of 11th. In fifth, we have Ross Chastain with an average finish of 11.4. In sixth, we have Kyle Busch with a 12.1 average finish. In seventh, we have Carson Hocevar with a 12.3 average finish. In eighth, we have Joey Logano with a 13.4 average finish. Ninth, we have Austin Cindric with a 14.3 average finish. And Justin Haley in 10th with a 14.9 average finish. So if you pick fantasy lineups for NASCAR, or you do the pick 36, maybe that information can inform you on what might happen. Obviously, once we see the practice and qualifying results, that'll further inform us on maybe who's performing well and whose car handles well, who has the raw speed. So keep an eye out for that, because that could shake things up. One big key to this race is that it's going to be held later at night. That may affect how they set their cars up. So just maybe not pay too much attention to the practice results, because they may not be indicative of how their car will perform later in the evening once the track conditions change. In other news, we have the in-season tournament beginning for the NASCAR Cup Series. Let's take a look at that. So we have a big bracket-style board similar to March Madness, or if you're familiar with any kind of playoff or bracket-style competition. And they've seeded these positions over the last 3 races. So you may see a guy that's been performing very well, like William Byron here. He's an 18th seed. One big thing that I want to throw out about this is Atlanta being the first race in the in-season tournament. Not the best idea, because you're going to have a lot of upsets, especially if there's a few big ones that takes out some contenders, some people that are really good. So let's say Denny Hamlin, he's seated first here. Let's say he goes into this race and he wrecks and he ends up getting beat by Ty Dillon. That's going to be a huge upset. So there's going to be a ton of busted brackets after this first race. There's going to be very few people, if any, that survive with an intact bracket. The reason why this is such a big deal is it brings a focus on this summer stretch. The in-season challenge is supposed to spice up this summer stretch that leads into the playoffs. So hopefully it'll help hold people's attention. And it will take some explaining during the broadcast. So hopefully they take care of that. And who knows, maybe this will turn out to be interesting. But a lot of the drivers didn't even really understand how they were doing this or that it was even happening. NASCAR could have done a better job at putting this together. One thing that all of these drivers are interested in is whoever wins this in-season challenge walks away with $1 million. So once the drivers hear that, usually their ears perk up and they say, hey, I think I want to win that. Keep an eye on it. I believe they have places on the NASCAR website where you can make your own bracket. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and look it up and get your bracket submitted before this weekend's race. We had big news coming out today that Rick Ware Racing may be selling out. TJ Pushire agreed to buy Rick Ware Racing with plans to build a 3-car NASCAR team by 2027. So I have some big questions about this. TJ was a part of the team that helped fund or found Spire, and he really kicked off this whole charter craze. So you can point your fingers at him if you don't like the charter system, because he was the one that made it more appealing and put the spotlight on it, I should say. The one thing of note here is Ware Racing currently operates a one-car team. They're planning to expand to 3, so they're going to have to get a charter from a different team, and then they do have a second charter that they're currently leasing to RFK. So how will these plans here for Ware Racing and whatever they may be called in the future, how will this affect RFK? On the flip side of that, could the lawsuit impact this whole swapping of charters? It may enable TJ Pushire and Ware Racing to go ahead and buy that extra charter, because during all these court proceedings, it's been discussed that 2311 Racing and I think Front Row Motorsports are losing their charters. So I don't know if they're going to go through with that. I haven't kept up the most with it. But if those charters become available, perhaps RFK sweeps one up, and perhaps TJ Pushire also sweeps one up. I don't know if that's how his last name's pronounced. I tried to look up a pronunciation on it, and that's the best I could find. So I apologize, TJ, if you're listening, but good luck with the team. So one thing of note is they're not getting rid of any of the employees, and as of right now, they're keeping Cody Ware in that car as the driver. So they have no plans to shake things up immediately. So looking at the other series for this weekend, the Xfinity race will happen at 7:30 Eastern on Friday, so tomorrow, on the CW. So if that's something you're interested in, tune in. They have pretty good coverage. And the Xfinity cars usually put on a very good race, as long as the RCR cars don't stink it up. Then on Saturday, we have a truck race at Lime Rock, the first time they visited Lime Rock. It should be a good race. The track looks plenty entertaining. There's a jump at one point, so the cars may even get airborne, and that'll be on Big Fox. So if you have broadcast television, if you have little bunny ears antenna, you can pull in this race. Later in the same day, ARCA will also be racing at Lime Rock. So if you're interested in watching ARCA, I know it's not the best run product right now. If you're interested, it'll be over on Fox Sports 2. Then on Saturday night, we have the NASCAR Cup Series at 7 p.m. on TNT. So I've really enjoyed the Prime coverage. We've talked about the Amazon Prime coverage extensively. They did a very good job. Most of that team's coming over to work on this TNT broadcast. So the broadcasting standards should be about the same, but the product you see on screen might differ because this is on network television instead of on a streaming platform. So don't expect the commercial-free coverage and the side-by-sides that you see on Prime. But hopefully it's still decent, and I'm looking forward to it. Atlanta usually puts on a decent race, and I know it'll be exciting, whatever the outcome is. But thank you guys for tuning in, and look for the race review whenever the race concludes. And thank you guys for all the support recently. You guys have been fantastic. Leave a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. And if you have any thoughts or questions or ideas, go ahead and post it in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you. And who knows, we may do a video on it if it's something that is a good topic for discussion. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.